Eddie Alvarez moves over to ONE FC, makes the jump, big monumental signing. Rarely does the UFC lose one of their stars, and Eddie is a pretty big star, to a certain degree, I guess. I mean, I get. What do you think of the move? We see this happen sometimes with guys that go to Bellator, and is it a case of Eddie Alvarez assessed it and said, dude, I'm probably not going to be a champion 155 pounds in UFC again. Let me go elsewhere and make as much money as possible and get as much, value for my name and career as possible.
Yeah, so here's what I think the situation is, and if I'm incorrect, I apologize to Eddie Alvarez, and this is in no shape or form an insult towards Eddie Alvarez. I respect Eddie Alvarez a lot. He's been involved in some incredible fights. He's had an incredible career. He really has. Very, very skilled. One of the best in the world. Of course, former lightweight champion of the UFC. I think he was Bellator champion as well. Now he's going to ONE FC, and I wish him all the best. ONE FC, incidentally, I think they're based in Singapore. Is that correct? Yeah. They've got big designs. They're planning on taking over. Well, in fact, their president said one day they plan on being a bigger brand than Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So, big words indeed. But they're doing good things out there. And I don't know what kind of money they have. I'm sure out there, they've got, a lot of backing, a lot of financial support. But I think what it comes down to for Eddie Alvarez is that they were offering more money than what the UFC were willing to offer. And that's generally always the case. People always think, oh, well, they're leaving there. Maybe he thinks he's never going to be the champion again, or he's looking for easier competition. No, we as fighters, we want to fight for the most money possible. Now, okay, maybe there's a few people that are exception to the rule. So as I say, I am speculating, but I would speculate that because Eddie lost a few fights, he lost to Conor, he lost to, who did he lose to recently? Dustin Poirier. He had some losses, unfortunately, and then some of his wins weren't the most exciting either. So I think once and when I say exciting, I just mean, he used, pushing up against the fence, trying to take people down and lie on top of them, and I'm not saying that in a detrimental way. That was just the style. And I think maybe the UFC, now his contract's up, they're not offering the same money that they offered in first time round. Maybe they've lowered his amount. And as I say, I'm purely speculating, and he's shopped about. He's gone to Bellator, he's gone to ONE FC, and they've made him a better offer. And the UFC know what drives the market. They're very, very smart people. They're a huge company, and they have a lot of analytics. They know who pushes the needle. That's the expression that they use. Who pushes the needle? Okay, Conor McGregor, for as a prime example, he pushes that needle through the fucking roof. Okay, and if Eddie isn't pushing the needle, then then they're not going to pay him. So he's gone off to ONE FC, where he's probably going to get more money.
And it probably pushes the needle more over in the Asian market, being a former UFC lightweight champion. That I think that holds so much value. So when you're, and apparently Harrington's sending me facts about ONE FC. They're planning on doing 2 shows every weekend within 5 years, 104 cards per year, every Friday and Saturday night to service the 4 billion person Asian market. So I think they, recognize, dude, UFC is such a big, valuable brand that just having a guy that's had that experience, you can parlay that into opening a gym. You could parlay that into appearances, private lessons, whatever it is on the lowest level. Just having fought in the UFC, I watch it happen time and time again. You can really use that to kind of build, value for yourself. And I think this is a case where Eddie holds more value outside of the UFC because of his experience in the UFC.
Well, back in the day they probably still do it now, on lower level shows, let's say Cage Rage or Cage Warriors, for example, if they had an ex-UFC fighter on there, they would say UFC vet, such and such, even though they only had one fight in the UFC. They called them a UFC vet, which technically isn't correct, but, because it was a sales factor. And for the lay person that's thinking of going to watch this event at the weekend, if they put on the poster, whoever it is, UFC vet, they're like, oh shit. So you're right. Being a former lightweight champion, going to an upstart, shall we say, organization in Asia, even though it's very, very established. So pardon me, that isn't the correct description. Yeah, that's sexy for ONE FC to be attracting former UFC champions. So it's a smart business move from their end.
And it's not always that a guy would choose a higher paying contract. I mean, I'm assuming it happens all the time. It's a younger dude. Like if there's a new, young, hot prospect, you have to look at the long game. And I think getting into the UFC and you know, having that experience and building that value, fighting the best in the world and being considered one of the best in the world, maybe you make a little bit less money in your contract now, holds more value in the long run. But in the case of somebody like Eddie or some of these guys that we've seen that have gone over to Bellator, they're toward the end of their career, or maybe the second half of their career is a better way to put it, not necessarily toward the end. And they're not this hot, young, new prospect where they're going to build equity in themselves now. They've sort of built the equity that they're going to build, and they started to lose.
And not only that, if you're Eddie Alvarez or anybody else, for example, let's say you've been around, you've done Bellator, you've done other organizations, you've been in the UFC, you've won the belt in the UFC. Now you got a chance for another chapter in your life. You know, so I think they offered him more money than what the UFC offered him. I think primarily that's the reason he went. But also there's a possibility that he thought, you know what? I like the sound of this, going off to another organization in Asia, fighting frequently in Asia for a whole new fan base, traveling the world, meeting new people. There's huge opportunities in Asia, in China, all over the place for sponsorship, for appearances, for movies. You know, a lot of movie investment comes from China now, you know, and there's huge opportunities out there. I'll be going to China myself in a couple of weeks. There's a show in Beijing. I'm excited to get out there. I'm going out there with UFC gym people, and I got some great meetings out there as well. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. And as I say, more importantly, it's good for the soul. It's good for the mind. You want to travel the world. You know, maybe it's like, all right, I've done that. I've done my stint in the UFC. I've done my Vegas thing. I've done fighting for them. Now I'm going to go to the Far East, and I'm going to, you know, as a martial artist, I find that very appealing myself. You know, I've still never been to Japan, but I was obsessed with Japanese culture and Japanese martial arts when I was younger. And it's definitely on my bucket list. I want to go out there and not only visit, I want to spend some time there and do some training. So yeah, you know, there is that side of things for Eddie Alvarez as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, I think what maybe myself and maybe some other fans as well, we're, you know, probably not recognizing is I don't really have any idea how big ONE FC is, right? We put so much like, oh, it's the UFC, it's the biggest show in the world and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I have no idea. Maybe Harrington can shine some light on this because I've never really watched much ONE FC. But is it like kind of how Pride was? Pride were huge shows. They were spectacles. It was like, you know, yeah. For me, I want to become famous in front of American audiences, right? Like it's hard for me to wrap my mind around wanting to go perform for Asian audiences around the world, even if those audiences were 10 times as big, because it's just not a culture that I'm used to. But if you can kind of disconnect from that, you go, shit, I'm making 5 times the money. I'm performing for sold out arenas. I'm becoming a star. I'm on posters, buses. You know, those Pride guys were huge, huge stars in Japan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pride was absolutely, it was a behemoth in terms of MMA. I think they had like 90,000 people at the arenas. It was just absolutely insane. Myself, I fought in China twice now. I fought in Shanghai, obviously, and I fought Kung Lee in Macau, which is, you know, just off the coast of China. So in my mind, I fought in China twice. You know, the coolest thing for me as well was being in Hong Kong and walking around with my brother-in-law, my whole team, just you know, having a stroll around Hong Kong on a sunny afternoon. And we turned a corner and there was a big skyscraper and there's a picture of me and Kung Lee on the side of a skyscraper in fucking Hong Kong. I was like, wow, that's, you know, that's very, very cool. It was awesome. So yeah, you know, it's a whole new world out there for Eddie. You know, that's going to be appealing. Go out there. New, as I said before, I'm about to repeat myself entirely, but new cultures, new people, new fans, new money, new trips, new experiences. It's good for the soul. It really is. So I wish him all the best. He's an incredible fighter. He's a warrior. You're going to say something? Go ahead.
I was going to ask you a question. Had you ever gotten an offer throughout your entire UFC career where you were tempted to take outside of the UFC? Somebody else came when you were doing your contract negotiations and you were like, shit, that sounds pretty good.
I'm trying to think. No, I haven't actually. You mean like fielded by another organization to go and fight for them? No, never did. Never happened. Yeah, unfortunately. I wish I could say otherwise. It'd be a more interesting answer for you, but no, never. No. So, okay. No one's interested in me, Lewis. What can I tell you? Thank you for making me highlight that to the world, okay? I'm a washed-up bonfire, okay? No one cares, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much, okay? What else? We had some other interesting topics. What was on there?
What else is on here? Okay, so I guess Anderson Silva said he'd fight Conor McGregor at 180 pounds. He'd be interested in the fight. I'm more interested, to be honest with you, for Conor as a fan of the sport, and weirdly, I'm a Conor fan. I'm not really a Conor fan. I root for him to lose, but I'm still tuning into every fight. So let's fucking get real. There's never a time I'm missing a Conor McGregor fight. So I'm still a fan. Who cares about my fucking chick emotions about him. Who, right? I'm
Yeah.
buying the fight every single time. I'm engaged. I'm a fucking fan, right? That's something.
100%. You can't deny the fact that Conor McGregor brings eyeballs. He's a star. He's captivating. He's exciting. He's interesting. Whether you love the trash talk, whether you loathe the trash talk, you still watch it. You're still engaged. You still want to see what's going to happen and how it plays out. And that's partly why he's so successful. Of course, he's a fantastic fighter as well. I think, of course, I think he was planning on beating Khabib when he spoke about Anderson Silva, because people were throwing around next possible opponents, and for him, to go out there and try and get a win over Anderson Silva, of course, that adds to his legacy as well. But he didn't beat Khabib. Last thing he wants to do right now, I would assume, is go out and face fucking Anderson Silva, and this is no disrespect to Conor McGregor, because mixed martial arts is a far better place with Conor McGregor in it, because he brings excitement. He really does. But Anderson Silva is a terrible, terrible matchup for Conor McGregor. He's just too big. It's as simple as that. He's very tall. He's very long. He's a southpaw. He's too fast. He's too powerful. It is not a winnable fight. That was a nice little soundbite for Conor McGregor to say that, oh, I fancy Anderson Silva. That's great. That gets headlines. That's cool. Always such a badass. Let's get fucking real, okay? That ain't going to go down anytime soon. And I've said it with the greatest of respect, and I can't wait to see Conor fight again. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
All right, Mike, really quick, let's talk about one of our other sponsors on the show, which is Autoslash.com. I just used Autoslash when I was out in LA to rent a car. And if you guys don't know, and I know you travel all over the country, Mike, so you love, love, love Autoslash. It's the #1 site for getting great deals on car rentals, okay? If you know anything, if you've ever rented a car, you know that the prices fluctuate like minute to minute. You check 1 minute and then, you go on 20 minutes later, then it's a completely different price. What they do is they do all of that work for you. Imagine having a personal assistant that their entire job was for them to get you a discount on a car rental, get you the absolute best price. So they compare all the discount codes online, any like programs that you're a part of, like AAA or Costco, they apply those codes. They do all of the math for you, and they give you the absolute best price possible. And check this out. This is the best part, Mike. If the price drops after you've booked it, you can rebook with them. They'll keep on tracking for you, and then you can rebook. It's just about saving money. Look, everyone knows, who doesn't? I don't give a shit how much money you have. You want to save some cash, and Autoslash makes that easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if you do rent cars, if you travel, if you go to other cities, this and that, and especially if you have a family, you need to rent a car. And there's nothing more annoying than renting a car, paying a high premium, and then afterwards your buddy says, oh, you should have went to such and such. It would have been way cheaper. And then you look it up online and you're like, fuck's sake, I just wasted all that money. With Autoslash, that isn't going to happen. As Lewis says, it goes through all the sites and finds you the very best deal. The best deal. That's no bullshit. That's no sales pitch. That's what they do. That's the whole mission statement of Autoslash. So get involved. Go to autoslash.com. Do we have an offer for them, Lewis?
No, not even that. We just want you to go to Autoslash.com and use it. You don't have to type in a promo code. You don't have to juggle anything. You don't have to email anybody extra. Just go to Autoslash.com and check it out. They're free. They don't charge you a transaction fee. There's nothing like that. It's an absolutely free service. Go try it out. Why? Next time you're renting a car, kick yourself in the ass. You're like, why didn't I go to Autoslash? Why wouldn't I just save money? You're giving away money to the car renting gods, and they don't need it. They got all the money.
Why would you want to pay more money to rent a car when you can pay less? If you are listening to this, you're not a moron. Go to autoslash.com next time you need to rent a car.